Ashley, the Democratic Party, they are hopeful as well as optimistic as they are wanting to see blue in both the state and the federal level. Now, this election, there is a lot on the line. It is likely that clawing portions of this funding from every school district across the state of Texas could create some budget issues. In fact, I did speak with one expert, and he says that it is a toss-up on whether or not school districts will have to make program cuts following this decision. This new policy stems from Governor Greg Abbott and escalates the clash between the state and the Biden administration. Many people fear that with this question, it will keep more patients from coming inside of the hospital.
It's hard to be in front of another family that not just I lost my son, they lost their son, but they get a chance to see their son. They do. They get to go visit him. I visit mine at the gravesite.
We're learning more about a bus fire from last night that involved football players from Holiday ISD. The Lakeside City Volunteer Fire Department responded to a fire on Friday just before midnight. And Cameron, is there any words that you struggle to pronounce on the daily?
No, but there is a word you struggle to pronounce.
It is, and I know you were going to call me out.
Meteorological.
I cannot say it. Reading it, I cannot say it. It's like a big struggle for me.
Sorry, you gave me a window on how to take it.
Yeah, and I was also going to say, I can't say the word, unless I say it slow, magician. It's just so hard for me to just say it. Yeah, I can't just flow it out.
Oh,
it's just difficult.
Okay, sure.
And so, you know how there's a lot of people that struggle with words or pronouncing. Messing those pronunciations up can be a source of both annoyance or amusement.
But language learning platform Babbel has put together a handy guide to stop you putting your foot in your mouth.
And one of the most mispronounced names of this year was Vice President Kamala Harris. You know what, Cameron, with this next story, how creative do you think you are when it came to your Halloween costume?
I didn't have a Halloween costume, so zero.
So zero, mine too. Well, Miss Universe contestants went big for their national costume competition in Mexico City on Thursday night. The Brown family encourages the community not only to be stationary and observe this life-size board game, but to also walk through it to find your favorite parts of this display.
Everybody has a different opinion on which part they like, I think it just depends on, if you played the game when you were a kid and, what your favorite character was.
For many clients at the Faith Mission, walking is their main form of transportation, but that being said, the lifespan of their socks wear out quicker than others.
It was the worst morning ever for us. We got a phone call at 5:30 in the morning telling us to get to the emergency room, that he was unresponsive. I couldn't get myself to get in the car to go because I couldn't believe this.
The morning of July 15th, 2022, detectives notified Nasaria Nunez and her family her son's death was a homicide, with two suspects being then 21-year-old Jacinto Jimenez and 22-year-old Leah Smith.
Because the girl had confessed that they had bought 2 Percocets that were laced with fentanyl.
Parents are often the first line of defense in combating drug use. According to the CDC, a few signs that someone may be using the synthetic opioid is social withdrawal and drowsiness. Nunez says her son showed no signs of using the drug.
Please tell me you're not taking any pills or anything, Mom. I would never do that. I would never take no pills. Even if they feel like you're pushing too hard, just push. Be the bigger, don't be their friend, be a parent.
In September 2023, a first of its kind trial aimed at a harsher punishment for fentanyl dealers, ending with a 45-year sentence for Jacinto Jimenez.
It needs to be a harder sentence. They really do need to get time for this. 45 years, it is something. But still, they took a life. Yes, we got justice, but still, it don't bring him back. It's just, it's hard. Keep a smile on your face whenever you know you're dying inside. That's been the hardest thing in our journey now, is being without him.
The illicit drug is the leading cause of death for Texans ages 18 to 45. Many users know their dealer personally.
And that's what's so hurtful, that you were willing to sell it to somebody that you knew. And that you went to elementary to, you knew for a long time. It's hard to be in front of another family that not just I lost my son, they lost their son, but they get a chance to see their son. They do. They get to go visit him. I visit mine at the gravesite.
Daniel Ortiz was found guilty of 16 charges, including 6 charges of injury to a child, 5 charges of injury to a child with intent to cause bodily injuries, and continuous violence against a family. Ortiz was indicted back in 2022 for the alleged abuse that included cutting the children, who were 7, 7, and 6 years old at the time, with knives, duct taping them to the walls for long periods of time, and hitting them with belts hard enough to leave bruises and scarring. Today, the defense called its only witness, Letitia Allen, to the stand today with Wichita County Child Protective Services. Lead defense, Marty Kennedy, insinuated to Allen that the mother of the children was the abuser, asking Allen, due to parental rights, if Ortiz was the abuser, why didn't the biological mother report it? Allen responded, quote, anyone can report the abuse to CPS. During cross-examination, lead prosecutor and Wichita County District Attorney John Gillespie asked Allen if Ortiz leaving the children in the home alone for extensive periods of time was also a form of abuse. She said yes and agreed that the continual abuse could have been prevented. Right after lunch, during closing arguments, Wichita County District Attorney John Gillespie spoke about the bravery of the victims who testified and said Ortiz used a pattern of mental abuse to harm the children. The jury deliberated for more than 2 hours, and just after 5:30, they reached a guilty verdict. The punishment phase is set to begin tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Stay with News Channel 6 for the updates. Brayel Brown, News Channel 6. For many, tampons are a necessity every month, but a recent study shows that tampons contain a high level of metals like lead and arsenic, making this a big concern for many consumers.
New data just came out of UC Berkeley. It talks about a study that was recently done on a variety of tampon products, and unfortunately there was certain chemicals that were found in there.
Metals like lead and arsenic have been found to increase the risk of dementia, infertility, and cancer. The study out of UC Berkeley, done by a team of scientists, looked at organic and non-organic tampons.
We've known lead to be particularly dangerous, and some of these things can affect, as it relates to women, our health care. We don't want to panic, so there's not a lot of information yet about how that is going to impact our health.
Although this is a first of its kind study, Dr. Grady Moore with the Women's Clinic wants women to be cautious.
I always encourage all consumers to be conscientious. I don't think there's a lot of information that can tell us whether or not we should stop wearing tampons or not. Definitely there are other alternatives to those products if women are really worried about it. I just think that we need more research before we can make a definitive statement for or against tampons. But we always have known research about toxic shock syndrome as far as it relates to tampons, and so there are things such as nausea, lightheadedness, abdominal pain, and if you have those type of symptoms, I would definitely get checked out by your healthcare provider.
For women anxious about the study, can use alternative menstrual products.
Yeah, so definitely there's been a wide variety of now period panties that are now on the market. There's also menstrual cups that are on the market as well too. For those that are going to continue to wear tampons, I always just caution them to make sure that you're not wearing them for long periods of time.
Right now, there isn't a list of symptoms related to the research.
We don't exactly know that information and how that's going to impact our health care. We know that those chemicals are in the products, but we don't actually know if they leak out or if they're absorbed by the vagina.
One of the major concerns is how does the lead even get into these products? But Dr. Moore says if you do have any concerns, reach out to your healthcare provider. Brayel Brown, News Channel 6.